Yo, YouTube, what is good, bro gang, what is good, and we are back with another video. Now, as we all know, JRPGs can be a content heavy genre filled with deep stories and some extremely long completion hours at times, which in turn can put some people off, especially newcomers to the genre. So in this video, I wanted to share with you guys 5 of the best short JRPGs, 25 hours and under, I feel you need to play. Trials of Mana. So whenever people are just getting into JRPGs or looking for a simplistic, fun and cozy experience, Trials of Mana is always the game that springs to mind immediately. So Trials of Mana is an action RPG where you the player controls a selection of 3 out of the 6 main protagonists, each with their own stories but all drawn to the same single quest goal of defeating the Benevolence and saving the Mana Tree. So clocking in at around 20 hours, Trials of Mana makes for a really fun experience with high replay value. Now Trials of Mana has some extremely fun action-based combat, where it won't be the most challenging or most difficult combat loop in the world. I honestly think that's the beauty of the game. Its fun and semi-laid-back approach to combat makes it the perfect pick up and play experience whenever you just want to switch off your brain and hack away at some enemies and enjoy an old school JRPG story. Now, as mentioned, the combat is semi-laid back, so you will have to pay attention to certain enemy attack cues, but for the most part, the combat makes for a really chilled and laid back experience. So the one thing that I absolutely loved about Trials of Mana was the cast of characters. For me personally, I felt they all bounced off each other so well, meaning that whichever 2 characters you decide to accompany your main protagonist of choice along their journey all had something unique to bring to the table. Another thing that I couldn't get enough of in Trials of Mana was the beautifully presented graphics, with each locale feeling unique wherever you go in the world, which really makes the game feel alive and adds something special to your experience whenever you go through and play it. So for me personally, Trials of Mana is the perfect short JRPG to play. Its fun, cozy experience and high replay value with an extremely likable cast of characters makes it the perfect 20-hour experience, and is 100% one of the best short JRPGs I feel everyone needs to play. Scarlet Nexus. So just like Trials of Mana, Scarlet Nexus is another amazing title that whenever newcomers to JRPGs are looking for an action RPG with incredible combat is always at the forefront of games I look to recommend. So Scarlet Nexus is an action RPG where players take control of one of the 2 dual protagonists in Yuito Sumeragi or Kasane Randall, who are members of the Other Suppression Force, or the OSF for short. They are tasked with defending New Himuka from creatures known as Others. Now, where the story is not the deepest thing going through it, Scarlet Nexus gameplay is something that really shines through. Clocking in at 25 hours for one playthrough of the 2 dual protagonists you can choose from, the game's combat is something that really makes this game extremely fun to play. So the dual protagonists you take control of each possess the ability of psychokinesis, which allows them to throw objects at enemies, and with the use of their short range melee weapons, combat in this game feels so deep and fun to play with so many different combination strings you are able to pull off the further into the game you get. So the one thing that I absolutely loved about Scarlet Nexus were the characters. Each character has their own moments to shine in the story, and they shine even more depending on which protagonist route you decide to go down. Now the characters within Scarlet Nexus really make the combat experience go to the next level. They all possess their own unique set of abilities just like Yuito and Kasane, and although you cannot play as the other characters, they will assist you in battle as active party members, and just being able to combine abilities with different party members really adds another layer of fun to the combat loop. Now if you guys know me well, you guys will know that I'm an absolute sucker for a well done art style in a video game, and Scarlet Nexus has an incredibly beautiful art style. The anime aesthetic really shines through, especially when you're in combat and execute special moves where characters have their own unique animations, which really adds to the game's futuristic aesthetic. So at 25 hours, Scarlet Nexus for me was the perfect short JRPG I needed to play when it first released. Where the stories of the 2 main protagonists don't differ too much, it really makes for a fun experience that is 100% worth investing your time into, and is easily one of the best short JRPGs I feel everyone needs to play. Super Mario RPG. Now where I wasn't able to play the original Super Mario RPG, I recently played and finished the remake of this game in December of 2023, and after playing, I can easily see why this game was held in such high regard. So Super Mario RPG is a turn-based RPG where the story focuses on Mario and his friends as they seek to defeat the Smithy gang, who have crashed into their world and scattered the 7 star pieces of Star Road. So for me personally, Super Mario RPG is the perfect short JRPG for any fan of RPGs in general to sink their teeth into. Aside from the puzzles, which can be tedious at times, Super Mario RPG is a really fun experience from top to bottom. Its simplistic yet intuitive combat system really makes for that beginner friendly experience when playing. So clocking in at 12 hours to finish the main story and 20 hours to 100% the game, Super Mario RPG makes for a perfect short JRPG experience with a really well written and fun story to boot. So for me personally, one thing I love especially with older non-voice acted JRPGs is how well written the story and characters are. The writing within Super Mario RPG is absolutely hilarious at times, and you can feel that very 90s humour which is conveyed so well through each of the game's characters. Now, although the game is 12 hours long, I felt Nintendo done an absolutely incredible job of making you fall in love with each of the characters' unique personalities that all bounced off each other so well throughout your journey. So as mentioned, the combat within this game felt simplistic yet intuitive. Where in most turn-based RPGs you would simply select a command and watch it play out, I love the fact that in combat, when selecting an attack command for example, you would need to press a button at the right time to do extra damage, or if you was jumping on a Goomba's head with Mario for example, you could press a button at the right time to keep bouncing off the enemy's head to do extra damage. For me personally, small things like this really added to the fun of the turn-based combat throughout my time with this game. Super Mario RPG was such a fun experience, and as mentioned, clocking in at 12 hours easily makes it one of the best short JRPGs I 100% recommend and feel everyone needs to play. Star Ocean: The Second Story R. Star Ocean: The Second Story R was easily my favourite game of 2023 and made the #1 spot in my top 5 JRPGs of 2023 list, and with good reason too. So Star Ocean: The Second Story R is an action RPG where players will take control of dual protagonists Claude C. Kenny or Raina Lanford. The story is centered around Claude C. Kenny, a cadet from a spacefaring organization who is stranded on an underdeveloped planet called Expel. There, he meets several companions and must stop a plot from an evil organization that spans multiple worlds before finding his way home. So just like Super Mario RPG, I wasn't able to play the original version of Star Ocean: The Second Story, but after playing the recent remake, man oh man did this game blow me away and easily turned into not only my favourite Star Ocean entry of all time, but probably one of my favourite JRPGs of all time. From the game's beautiful 2D pixel art style that was presented beautifully by developers Jrpgs, and the game's amazing cast of characters who all bounced off each other so well, Star Ocean: The Second Story R was a game I could not get enough of. I think the one thing that really stood out to me with Star Ocean: The Second Story R is the fact that the game has so many different ways to play and caters to all different playstyles. If you wanted to be overpowered, you could. If you wanted to make the game a challenge and mitigate things like grinding for example, you could. The game just has so many different ways to play and really caters to newcomers and veterans alike of the Star Ocean series. Combat within this game was something I really loved, and was something I thought never got dull or repetitive. Being able to switch between any party member so seamlessly in combat was an absolute treat and really added to the fun of the game. So just like a few games mentioned on this list, the game does feature dual protagonists, and for one playthrough out of the two, the game clocks in at around 25 hours, which is honestly a sweet spot for a JRPG of dual protagonists. The game has insane replay value, and honestly, although this is a list of the best short JRPGs, you could easily get lost in how addictive and fun the gameplay loop is and could easily have so many more hours. Star Ocean: The Second Story R is easily one of my favourite JRPGs of all time, and is 100% a game I feel everyone needs to experience. If you haven't already or plan on playing this game, please do. It's an absolute gem from developers Jrpgs and is easily one of the best short form JRPG experiences I feel everyone needs to play. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Now moving on finally to easily one of my favourite Final Fantasy titles, we have Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. So serving as the prequel to Final Fantasy VII, Crisis Core sees you take control of Shinra operative soldier Zack Fair, who is tasked with tracking down a missing soldier first class operative named Genesis Rhapsodus, but as his adventure unfolds, he discovers the dark secrets of Shinra's experiments and the monsters they create. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is honestly the perfect remake, and done the original PSP release in Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core so much justice. For me personally, the game added so much in the way of a revamped combat system that really makes the game feel more modern and fun to play, to the game's beautifully remade HD graphics, and getting to see my guy Zack back in action in those glorious HD graphics just made this game so much more satisfying to play. With the story of Final Fantasy VII being made more accessible now with the remake of Final Fantasy VII that was released back in 2020 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the way in February, clocking in at 14 hours for the main story and serving as the prequel to Final Fantasy VII, this is honestly the perfect game for anyone that plans to dive into the world of Gaia and Midgar for the first time. Crisis Core has always been one of my favourite Final Fantasy titles, and as mentioned, the remake of the original in Reunion really makes for the perfect gateway for any new fan of the series to get into. Crisis Core's incredibly well told story that works as the perfect tie-in into Final Fantasy VII is a big reason why this game is 100% worth diving into, As mentioned, with an extremely short main playthrough time of 14 hours, it's honestly an experience worth having and one you can't argue with for the amount of quality you're receiving with its gameplay and story. So for me personally, whenever I recommend starting a Final Fantasy game for the first time, or people have an interest or intrigue with the story of Final Fantasy VII, Crisis Core is always the game that I recommend as the starting point. It really respects your time with its short playtime, but as mentioned, gives you so much quality within a short space of time. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is easily a game I feel is worth everyone's time, and is a big reason why I feel it's the best short JRPG I feel everyone needs to play. So that'll do it for this video guys. I really appreciate you guys for watching. I'd love to know what some of your favourite short JRPGs are, so please let me know down below in the comments. So please like, sub, share if you're new, hit that notification bell so you get notified of my videos first, and I hope I can be you guys' #1 source for all JRPG news. So from me too, this has been your bruv, the big bruv, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next video. I'm out. Peace!